Hi class, this is the sample quiz for quiz 10. I just wanted to go through a few of these grammar points for you guys. You'll find each one of these questions on the quiz and more of each one probably. So let's just go through the sample. The first question says, find the subject and main verb of the sentence. So there, I'm looking for you to identify the main clause, right? The independent part of the sentence. As you know, many sentences have a subordinate clause or an introductory element, or there'll be a conjunction, right? Combining two independent clauses together. I'm looking for the main clause. In this one, simple lifestyle alterations can significantly reduce the risks of developing cancer. So we're just looking for the subject. So here we have simple lifestyle alterations. Simple and lifestyle are both modifying the subject noun, right? Alterations. So there's our subject. You would put an S up here. And then we have can significantly reduce. Really, can and reduce are the verb phrase. Significantly just modifies reduce, right? So you could do all of can significantly reduce. You could highlight can and reduce or just reduce, but there's the verb. Okay, number 2, write a sentence in passive voice. So as you know, passive voice is a sentence construction that involves either an inanimate object or an actor in the subject position that is not doing anything, right? Something is happening to that subject. So my go-to one, the one I always go to is, the cake was eaten by Tom. So here, the cake is the subject of the sentence, and was eaten is the verb. But the cake isn't doing anything. It's just lying there passively, right? It's being eaten. It doesn't have to do anything to be eaten. Tom is just devouring it. So in order to turn that around into active voice, all we have to do is make the actor, the one that has agency, Tom, do the action. Was eaten, so ate the cake. There we go. Now it's an active voice. Okay, number 3. Make sure these 3 sentences be one sentence using a subordinate clause. Their car is gassed up. It is ready for the long drive. The drive will take all night. So oftentimes writers will put together a string of short sentences that make it kind of choppy. And every time you have a period, there's sort of a natural pause. And you don't want to have too many pauses, otherwise it kind of feels like, I don't know, like a weird drum beat. The car is gassed up. It is ready for the long drive. The drive will take all night. It's a little awkward for an essay. If you're doing some creative writing and you want to establish that kind of rhythm, that's cool. But maybe not so much in the academic essay. Maybe we could start out with a subordinator, like since. Since their car is gassed up, it is ready for the long drive. And since we just said drive, we don't need it again, but we can say, which will take all night. So since their car is gassed up, it is ready for the long drive, which will take all night. Here is the main part of our sentence, right? That's the independent clause. And here's the subordinate clause. It's subordinate because this little guy here, the subordinator, introduces the clause. So it makes it subordinate or dependent upon this one over here. Okay, number 4. Replace the vague verb with a more vivid verb. He went to the island. So, of course, first we have to identify what the verb is. Here it is, went. It's one of those really bland, boring verbs. We could probably get a lot more mileage out of the sentence just by replacing that boring verb with something like sailed, or swam, or cruised, or teleported. anything other than went, right? You get a lot more mileage out of just, using one word. Okay, number 6, sentence boundaries. Punctuate this passage using commas and periods. Great, so what we want to do is just add periods and commas. We don't want to remove any words or add any words. I am an invisible man. No, I am not a spook like those who haunted Edgar Allan Poe, nor am I one of your Hollywood movie ectoplasms. I am a man of substance of flesh and bone, fiber and liquids, and I might even be said to possess a mind. I am invisible, understand, simply because people refuse to see me. Wow. So we have a massive run-on going on, right? And a run-on is 2 or more independent clauses just stuck together with nothing in between, or at least nothing strong enough in between. So we need stronger punctuation, either a semicolon or periods. And there are also some missing commas. So let's find the first one. I am an invisible man. No, I am not a spook. So we have I am, subject verb. And then we have a second I am, not a spook, another subject verb. So I'm thinking we should put a period here. And usually after an introductory element, you need a comma. No, I'm not a spook like those who haunted Edgar Allan Poe, nor am I one of your Hollywood movie ectoplasms. I am. So, let's see. Notice we have a conjunction here. One of our fanboys. And we always need a comma before those. Almost always. So let's put a comma there. Nor am I one of your Hollywood movie ectoplasms. I am a man. Oh, so I notice we have another subject-verb combo here. And whenever you see that, you want to go back and look and see. Just make sure that you don't need some punctuation before. So there. Nor am I one of your Hollywood movie ectoplasms. Period. I am a man of substance of flesh. I don't know if of some substance of flesh makes sense, but let's keep reading. Of flesh and bone, fiber, and liquids. And we have a lot of and conjunctions, right? And it also looks like we have a list of things. I am a man of all of these things, a bunch of items. So what do we know about items in a list? We need commas separating them. So where's the first item? I am a man of substance. So substance of flesh doesn't make so much sense. Let's put a comma there. And then we have of flesh and bone, fiber and liquids. So we also know that when you have a list of items in a series, you put commas between each item and then you stick a conjunction before the last one at the end. But here we have 1, 2, 3 conjunctions, and that tells us something about of flesh and bone. Those two things probably go together. So let's say that's our second item. Fiber and liquids, let's say those two go together. So that's our third item. And then we have our final conjunction here. And I might even be said to possess a mind. I am invisible. Ooh, so another subject verb. I think we need a period after mind. I am invisible, understand, simply because people refuse to see me. Do we need any punctuation in here? I am invisible. I think he's commanding us to understand. And probably not commanding us to understand simply, but that he's invisible simply because people refuse to see him. So there we go. Go ahead and read through that, see how you like it. Number 7, sentence combination. Combine these sentences using conjunctions. Well, we just did a bunch of that up there, didn't we? I broke my hip. I slipped on some clutter. I fell down the stairs. Breaking one's hip probably happens after the fall. So let's put that at the end. So we can say, I slipped on some clutter and I fell down the stairs. It sounds like cause and effect, right? So maybe we could put the conjunction so in here. So I broke my hip. If you wanted to use something other than a fanboy, there's always therefore. I slipped on some clutter and I fell down the stairs, therefore I broke my hip. So that, again, there are a few options here, not just one right answer. Okay, lastly, number 8, complete. Is this a complete sentence? Is it a fragment or is it a run-on? So there'll be a whole section on your last quiz asking you these questions. There'll be a section asking you to identify, is it a dependent clause or an independent clause. Another section will ask you, is this a complete sentence, a fragment, or a run-on? So you have to know the difference. A complete sentence has a subject and verb and any other predicate information that's needed after that. A fragment is missing either a subject or a verb or vital information, right? Because some verbs need direct objects to follow. Or is it a run-on, which we discussed earlier is 2 or more independent clauses just squished together. So, walking to the store a sunny yet cool day. That's definitely a fragment. When she was born. So there's a subject and verb here, but notice the subordinator at the very beginning of the clause. So it's a fragment. It's subordinate to another main clause, which is not present. Who was credited for her discovery? So again, it's not asking a question, who was credited? It's saying this about someone else. So we're going to call that a fragment. Then he began teaching at Pinkerton Academy. We finally got a complete sentence here. Don't be confused by then. It's just like first, second, next, last, then. It's not quite the same as when, right? They have two different purposes here. Finally, he taught English. He also wrote most of the poems which would become his first book. Really, we have two clauses here. He taught English, right? And he also wrote most of the poems which would become his first book. So we're going to call that a run-on. And that's it for the practice quiz. Hopefully you guys got some good practice in. Let me know if you have any more questions. Thank you.